So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and this is our old friend Steve42. Yeah, I'm going to call it Steve from now on, because people pointed out quite rightly in my previous video about this tier 6 Swedish premium medium tank. I was getting the pronunciation and the name completely wrong, so we'll just call it Steve from now on. So Steve is, as I say, a tier 6 Swedish premium tank. Came in with the last patch as a precursor to the new Swedish lines that are coming. You've got the TD line and the medium stroke heavy line, and this was a game I played platooned up with Pixie in the KV2 and Dynamics in the Nashorn. You can see it's an assault game on Karelia. There are 3 artillery, so it's not great for me. This thing doesn't have an awful lot of armor, but I'm determined to make use of its fantastically good 75mm gun. So I'm saying that quizzically as if you're all going to answer that. Yes, it is a 75mm gun, has a 6-shell autoloader, and you can see it's not the quickest in the bunch. It's has a top speed of 45 kph. 20 in reverse, which I really like, so it's not going to get forward like a real rattle and roller, but look at this, there we go, one shot into that VK. He uses his repair kit because I was shooting at its wheel, but I still managed to get a second one into him as he pulls back. There's the ARL V39, put 2 shells remaining into my clip into him as well. Very fortunate not to hit my friend there as he pushed forward. So I'm gone back for the reload. It doesn't take long to reload, about 15 seconds to reload this 4-shell clip, and its potential damage is 600. So all those tanks up there have really got to worry about what I do to them. I don't have to worry about that ARL because he's just been obliterated. So I'm pretty sure there is only the VK left. We're going to take him down. I take a shot doing it, but it was worth it, I think, just to clear him out. It's 4-all. This is an assault game, so obviously we're defending. Oh, and there's a toggy woggy woggy. Oh, doggy doggy doggy. So I haven't bothered to reload. I've still got 3 shells. Oh, but look at the massive hit that he receives there. I think that was from, in fact, both of the guys I think hit him. I bounced my shot there, managed to get one in, and Dynamics finishes him up. I get hit by artillery, just tracked. But you can see one of the big weaknesses of this tank is its lack of armor. It only has 55 on the front of the hull and 40 on the side of on the front of the turret. So you can't afford to take hits, and you can see that Churchill was hitting me. I've gone for the reload. I'm just getting into a position where they can't see me, losing the spot. The Burt that was down here supporting the push around the north has clearly run. I was trying to catch him, but then the Tog and the Churchill kind of waylaid me. So it's still 6-all. It's all to play for, as is always the case in this assault mode. I turned it off for ages because I got so fed up with how bad teams were at playing it, because they just can't get the habit of just charging, and so you got the team that's supposed to be defending all rushing forward, and really you've got to earn that right to go forward. You've got to make sure that you are winning before you move forward. So you can see all the light tanks have died on both sides actually, so we have no eyes on what's up on the hill, and both the boys, Dynamics with his Nashorn and Pixie, want targets. Of course the KV2 is a fantastic TD because reasons. So I'm coming around the base of the hill. I'm a little bit nervous because I haven't got an awful lot of hit points, 138, so and with pretty much 0 armor, this isn't the best scout in the world. However, I do use coated optics, so my view range isn't bad, and I have got 6th sense on the crew, so I should get a little bit of warning. So I'm pushing forward. There was a Churchill and a probably the Crusader, because they're platooned together, sitting on the hill up here, and probably the M44's there somewhere, but so far I haven't seen a thing. There's their remaining scout. He goes down. Oh no, they've still got one more scout. Sorry, of course they've got the Crusader. He's not really a scout though, he's more of a medium than a scout. And my bet is that he's camping with the Churchill 1 because they're platooned together. So I'm debating, do I go up into the front here or do I not? Oh, there's the Bert. He hasn't seen me and he obviously hasn't got 6th sense. One shell, another shell, and before he could even pull away I took him down. So I've gone for a reload, 15.31 seconds for the reload. Oh, and there's a VK. Just in time for me to hit him as I reload. 2 shells, 3 shells, bounced that one, that's really annoying. And that one there. So I hit 3 out of the 4 shells and I bounced the other one, which was slightly annoying. Going for another reload. I'm going to push back down and try and reacquire him from my team. Loaded again. Retracing my steps. Get into the bush. Be the bush. Can we get a kill? Yes, we can. Very nice. So he's down. Oh, there's the Crusader. Which probably means... well, it probably means he's dead, but it probably means the Churchill's over there somewhere too. So I've gone for another reload, and this is the thing you got to learn when you play auto-loading tank. I'm not the best at auto-loading, but it's knowing when to take the reload, and it's a lot easier in the Steve because it's only 15 seconds to reload. If you're in one of those AMX 120 whatever they are, it can take so long to reload the magazine that you've got to be ultra sure that you did it at the right moment. With the Steve, because of it's only that 15 seconds, it's actually pretty easy. You just need, yep, there we go, the Churchill's up with his mate, and I can't, and there's a problem. Gun elevation, I can't actually get my turret, or couldn't get my turret up to fire on him. Oh, but I needn't have worried because Pixie just eviscerated him with a one-shot. So there's a Bert who would obviously come around to support, and I'm thinking, right, I don't need to worry about a Bert. There's a KV-85, there's a KV-2 and a Nashorn, all to deal with him, plus our artillery. So I'm going to push around now. I'm not going to bother going around the front. The other Churchills appeared over on the far flank. So there's some artillery to kill, there's some pigs to take down. Well, certainly one pig to take down. And there's also the Churchill gun carrier as well. So I'm going to whiz round. Time's almost up. You only get 10 minutes on an assault game, so we're pretty sure we've won this game now. There's not really much chance. And there's the one click. 1 shell, 2 shells. However, there is the Churchill gun carrier, and before I can pull my gun round, he takes me out. And again, you saw with the Steve the slight issue with this tank. It's not particularly quick, and its gun elevation and gun depression is not brilliant. So I needed to come right up over the top of that bit of hill to have any chance of getting the gun down on him. And yeah, you saw the result. So, but overall, I love the Steve. I think it's a fabulous tank. Really, really good fun to play. It's no classic by any means, but you see some damn good results from people playing it. It's a really good tank for platooning up with good players, because a combination of 4, say you've got 3 Steves operating together, each with potential damage of 600. That's 1200. That's my maths, right? Isn't it? No, more than that. 1800 potential damage from 3 of them platooned up. That's devastating firepower. And granted, it is a tier 6 premium which doesn't have preferential, so you can meet tier 8s. But if you can still, you have to just play that little bit more defensive when you're in a tier 8. When you're a tier 8 match, because you can deal with it, but it just becomes that little bit harder. So nobody's pushed on to take the gun carrier apart from this our box tank. Is he going to get him before the time elapses? 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. No, he's not. Game over. We win. So that was a pretty good game, probably the best I've had in terms of scores in the Steve. I've probably had better games in terms of excitement of the game itself, but it was a pretty good game. Came with a first class mastery, bruiser, duelist, fighter, and fire for effect. And I think again that just shows that's only a first. Oh, and I got high caliber. Don't forget that. That's only a first class mastery badge. Just shows how well people play this tank. Aces are very, very hard to get in it. Very hard. Finished up top on the team, 2090 damage, 4 kills, 1127 base XP. Dynamics in the Nashorn, 844 damage, 3 kills, 617. So I was almost double the base XP as him. Pixie had that memorable hit, one-shotting a Churchill. Churchill won. He did 1,606 damage and the 1 kill, 579 damage. So our platoon did rather well. We did our bit of the bargain. We carried the team really between the three of us. So I fired 16 shots, hit with 15 of them, and penned with 14. And again, I think that's the thing with the Steve. It's not really a long-range snipey tank. It can do that, but it's more effective at the sort of mid to short range. When a tank is slightly distracted, you nip out, unload 1 or 2 shells. Try not to be drawn to. The big problem with an autoloader is that or certainly I fall foul of this, is sometimes you pop out, you put 1 shell in, you put 2 shells in, and then you think, oh, I'll put a third in, and that third is a mistake because by then the enemy have reacted, they've turned around and have hit you, and you haven't got the armor to defend against it. So as you saw a couple of times in that game, particularly up in the early stages, I put 2 shells in, then pulled back before they could react, even though I still had 2 more shells in my magazine. I then used those 2 more shells, so it wasn't a complete waste and I didn't have to go for a reload. But when you do go for a reload on the Steve, it's pretty good. 15 seconds is very, very good for the reload. I took 4 hits, all 4 penned, because as I said in the commentary, this thing does not have any armor. 55 frontal armor and 40 turret armor is not really good, and that's the front. Got 877 base XP. We made 58,000 credits after costs, of which there weren't that many because I didn't fire any premium, no consumables running. Gave me still 53,000 profit on a tier 6 premium. Is very, very good. Would have been 33,500 on a non-premium account. And with all the bonuses, and it was a ×3, we made 5,600 for my Swedish crew, which is going to go into one of the new lines that comes out at the next patch. Don't know which I'm going to put them in. I like the look of the TDs, but some of the higher tier ones don't look so great, so I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll see. Got time to decide that. 3,753 if I hadn't been running a premium account. So that's the little Steve. That's another game to show you again how it... Okay, so this is not such a great matchup for the Steve. This time we're on Malanovka. It's a tier 8 game, so this is as bad as it gets when you're in the Steve. This time I'm playing alone. But the thing about this tank is that it can... I mean, it was designed... So if you look at Swedish tank kind of ethos, was around ambushing and counter-offensive, so defending in depth and ambushing the enemy and then counter-attacking. And so if you play the tank in that kind of way, it's probably not, it's actually playing the sort of historic mode that it should be played in. So I'm going to play this. I'm low tier, so there's no pressure on me from anybody to push forward and be aggressive. I'm going to go and just get myself into a position where I can use this really good 75mm gun. I can see that Tiger 88, but the chances of hitting him on the angle like that are pretty slim. So I'm going to try and get up into cover. I'm probably going to be spotted by the Shafi. Oh no, I wasn't. Amazingly, I wasn't. Now it was, and of course then I have to pull back because I bounce a shot from a KV-85, but I get hit by the T25 Skoda. Now the problem there again you have with this tank, because it's very, very small and all the components, the crew and the equipment is all very, very closely bunched up in it, you tend to lose hopeful shot. You tend to lose crew members and you tend to use modules very easily. So you saw I lost my gunner there from that shot. First hit I took, well, second hit because I miraculously bounced a KV-85. So I haven't really done anything so far. A bit of spotting maybe, trying to hit that Skoda. He's going to be a right pain in the bum in this game. Oh, but I can hit our friend in the KV-85, and he is going to regret sitting there in front of an autoloader. 3 shells, can we finish him off? That was a pure random shot, but unluckily didn't manage to hit him. So I've done a bit of damage at last, reloading the gun, moving forward a little bit to get slightly better angle. Nothing much on our team has pushed into the pushed onto the hill. And there again you saw the lack of gun depression. It's not ideal. Good shooting from long range. Oh, and I track the type and I take him down. He's dead. So I've got 1 shell left. Having a look to see if I hit that KV-13. I don't think I can. So I go for the reload again. And again, I said on the previous video, autoloaders are an acquired taste. You have to work out when best to go for a reload, and that is entirely based on how quickly the gun reloads. So I missed the opportunity to hit that Skoda, but I would have only hit him with 1 shell, and 1 shell isn't enough to take him down. So the enemy have taken the hill because we didn't really commit to it. There's our T-29, and oh, can you get a shot on him? Can we hit the Chaffee? Oh, unlucky, just missed him, and now he's safe. Keeping an eye. Oh, there's the SU-122-44. Can we get a shell on him before he pulls back? Missed him. That one didn't. So I'm now empty. Another 15.5 seconds to the reload, and look, I missed the opportunity to hit the Skoda, and that's the frustration. If you were firing a normal gun, I would have been able to hit him. But the beauty is you can do 600 average damage. Although not on that fellow because I managed to miss him. Can we hit the IS? Oh, not enough to really be worth even taking a shot. So it's 4 all. I've done 1200 damage, which isn't too bad. You know, we are bottom tier after all. Well, apart from that Chaffee who was a scout. So it's been okay. There's a pair of ISs up there. Oh, I managed to just see enough of his turret. Fired a speculative, but that was a bit hopeful that he wasn't, that he'd stayed where he was. Still 5 all. Well, still a draw. It's not still 5 all because it's only just become 5 all, but it's still a draw. Gone for another reload. Unfortunate timing because there's the box tank. Reload. Bounced off his gun mantle, I think. Don't know where that shell went. That one bounced off his gun mantle. Oh, I hit tracks, so there we go. So not so good on that shot. Well, there's a Super Pershing up there, but I wafted that shot badly. Gonna have to pull back because he's going to spot me in a minute if I'm not careful. In fact, I got spotting damage. On that fella. Reloading. Can we get a shell into him before he burns to death? Bounce. It's hard to pen. He's a tier 8 after all, isn't he? I mean, no. Bounce that shell. So I've got 1 shell into him. Hopefully our guys should be able to deal with him. Yeah, there we go. There's the KV-85. Oh, and there's an IS-3. Oh my goodness, that's not so good. So oh, look at the dip on that shell. I'm loading premium because IS-3 is going to be really hard to pen, and that brings my penetration up from what is it? So standard pen is 148. With premium it goes up to 190. The same average damage of 150, but yeah, penetration is considerably better. Don't really need it against the Skoda, but that guy there, and he spotted me, so that's really frustrating. Took a big hit from the SU-122-44. So pull back. Maybe that was a bit too obvious in hindsight, but I felt I had to try and do something to try and push the other side, because we've got a bit of stalemate on the hill. IS-3 against IS-3, and they're standing off on each other. There's no artillery, so they can afford to basically sit there and look at each other. And again, you can see the lack of gun depression. What is the gun depression? So it's only -6, and you notice it at times like that. So in a TD or another sort of medium, poking over that bush, I would have had a gun depression far down, but I don't in the Steve. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. So it's still 10 plays 7. We're going through a little bit of a lull here. I'm going to go up and help the IS-3, I think. I've still got 3 shells of premium loaded. I was tempted to change back, but then when I thought I'll go, when I go up to the hill, I'm going to need it if I've got any chance of penetrating the IS-3. And unfortunately, it looks like the IS-3 is pulling back, which I don't really want to see. Oh, there's an IS-6 as well. Oh my Jiminy Crickets. Again, gun depression is going to catch me out here. Get up onto the hill. Can I hit the Steve? Can I hit the SU? I'm the Steve. What am I talking about? No idea whether I hit anything there. I suspect not, because he was on pretty low health and probably would have died. So I wasted the clip of APCR, which is a shame, because that's going to cost me money, and I don't really want to spend money. So as I say, the gun penetration 148 is a little bit lackluster with standard rounds, but if you use it as a medium should be used and you get round flanks, it can be quite devastating. 150 average damage in 4 shells fired into the flank of even a heavy tank will mess up their day, that's for sure. And as I said, the premium goes up to 190. So there's the SIS. I've got no chance frontally, so I'm keeping his, basically trying to keep his attention, but I'm going to die here. There's no way I'm going to get round on his flank, and there I go. Tried to use the speed, but there just, there just isn't enough speed on this thing. It just does not move, especially going up the hill. The power to weight ratio is pretty poor, but still, I've distracted the IS-3 enough for our IS-3 to take him out, and the enemy are now down to just 4 tanks, or 2 tanks and 2 TDs. Strike that, 1 tank and 2 TDs. The SU is on pretty much a 1 shot, but the IS-6 is pretty full strength. No, he's not, he's half strength. Get your fractions right, Dom. So we're down with the T-34. T-34 is going to fire a shot into the cave, the IS-6. Boom. But he doesn't get him. It was a Cromwell that got him. So they're down to just 1 tank. It's only the Borsig, who's on 4 kills, so he's done well. But not enough, shall we say. So wrap up on the Steve. Good gun, not great mobility, and 0 armor. It's basically how I put it. But it's capable of some really fun games. So there we go, second class mastery, bruiser, fire for effect, and we got the Confederate badge. Finished up 3rd on the team on base XP, 1530 damage, 1 kill, 930 base XP, behind the IS-3, who had a very good game, 480. And if I don't know whether you noticed in the chat at the end there, he said I've only got 3 shells left. He clearly had been firing a lot. Yeah, he fired 26 shells, wow, and hit with 20 of them. So good job on him, for him. And the Cromwell also had a very good game. So yeah, good game all round there. Finished up firing 34 shells myself. Hit with 20 of them, only penned with 10. Well, I was bottom tier, so that kind of can be expected. But the volume of fire you can lay down with this thing, and I think you'd be hard pressed to run out entirely of shells. There's enough shells on board that you're not going to have any serious danger of running out. So 1500 damage. We took 4 hits. Miraculously bounced one. I think that was a KB85 right at the beginning, and I think it was just one of those miracle bounces, to be honest. Really, you have no business bouncing anything in a Steve. It just doesn't have the armor for it. 550 assistance damage. We got 40,000 credits. This time I did use a bit of premium, so I actually only made profit of 21,500, which is still not bad. It was only a second class. It wasn't a monumental game, but we still made 20.5 in a tier 6 premium after using premium rounds. So yeah, would have been 8,000 if I hadn't been running premium, and that gave me 1,814 experience for the crew, which is great because again I'm building to give myself the best possible crew to put into the Swedish tanks when they arrive in the next patch. So there you go, that's the Steve in action. Kind of wrap up on the Steve. I think it's a great little tank, really good fun. Key pros of it: 600 average damage potential is really good with that 75mm gun. The reload speed of a clip, well, it's around about 15 or 16 seconds depending on how good your crew is and what equipment you've got mounted. You can't mount a rammer, but 15 or 16 seconds to reload a clip of 4 shells is not bad at all. And the aim time and accuracy is really very good for an autoloader, so you know, good all round. Penetration, 140 with a standard round is perfectly adequate when you're in a tier 6 game. Once you get into a tier 7 or 8, it's not quite so good, but it's still okay. And if you can use what mobility this tank has to get around flanks, it can be devastating, because you imagine you pop up, you put 2, 3, 4 shells into an enemy tank in their side or rear, they're not going to be having a good day. So, and 190 with premium shells is extremely good, so you know, that's the benefit. Bad things about it: doesn't have any armor. You saw one bounce there, but it was a fluky bounce. You've got no business bouncing shells in this tank. It really isn't very good at that. 700 hit points is all it has as a hit pool, which is not great either. You find yourself being hit a couple of times and you're either dead or you've got virtually nothing left hit point wise, so that's not great. Mobility's a bit not really great. In some ways that's a good thing, because if this was a really quick tank, A, it'd be a light tank, and B, I would get myself into all kinds of trouble. I'd get sort of up into the game too far, too advanced, and get killed. So actually having a slightly slower tank is actually good in my book, but it means you are not a fast medium. You saw going up the hills there, it's not the easiest tank. It doesn't have the grunt to do it. But that said, it's enough to be able to flank and get around heavy tanks who are less mobile than you are. You do take a lot of damage to modules and crew. It's a small tank, it may only have 3 crew in it, but they're so closely packed in that small chassis that hits tend to take out things. So yeah, be prepared to use your repair kits and your medical kits on a regular basis in the Steve. And the gun depression, I think that's the other thing I would say about this tank. -6 is not great, and even the what's the upper one? Let me just have a quick look. So elevation is only 12, and you saw a couple of times in that game, in those games, it was quite tricky to get my gun up to point at something that was above me. So again, that's a bit of a downer on this tank. Overall, I think it's an outstanding little tank, and you see a lot of them around. It's been very popular. It's not that expensive. I think you can buy the basic model with 50% crew and a garage slot for around about £13–14, and I think that's why people have bought it. It's a good tank, it's a good introduction to the Swedish line, and it's not that expensive in the great scheme of things. I don't know how good it's going to be as a crew trainer. It has a 3-man crew. The sort of leaked videos you've seen of the new lines that are coming out, they do seem to have 3-man crews, so hopefully this will be a good crew trainer for it, but we'll have to see when that line actually pops out. And it has a gunner, a driver and a commander, which is a fairly standard line layout. So overall, I think it's a great tank. Really enjoyed playing it, and yeah, really good tank. Looking forward to seeing the Swedish line proper, because if this is an indication of what they're going to be like, they're going to be great fun. And we're going to be swamped with Swedes, which maybe is not a bad thing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel. It's free, it's easy, and makes me feel good. So thanks very much if you've done that. If you haven't, just click on that subscribe button. You won't get electrocuted, honest. This has been Gamer Dom. Hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy your games, have fun. Remember, it is just a game. I try not to take it too seriously, and I'll see you again soon. Gamer Dom out.